I were just chatting a bit earlier about some very sleepless nights and trying to respond to the things that are happening almost hour by hour here in the city and across the state of New York. We do want to talk a bit about the measures our city government and schools are taking to combat this issue. I do want to reiterate, at this time, Chautauqua County has 0 confirmed cases. But this is not a case of if it comes to Jamestown, but when it comes to Jamestown. More than ever, we need decisive leadership in both our government and our schools to prevent any further spread and ensure the safety of our residents and our children. The issue is the spread, and in many cases, the lack of symptoms that our residents have. In an average hour, many people don't realize they touch their face 16 to 20 times. You don't know necessarily what surfaces that you have touched, whether that is doorknobs or handshakes, surfaces where the virus could live on, and then you touch your face, you touch other people, and you spread it. Especially for those that aren't washing their hands, sanitizing in between. We want our public to just think about the number of times you touch a coffee pot at work, or maybe you've shaken someone's hand, or even gone through a drive-through and grabbed a cup or a lunch from someone and touched a surface. We want to be able to prevent the spread as much as possible. We want to encourage our residents to avoid touching their eyes, nose, mouth. Please stay home if you can and limit your interactions with others. Maintain a safe distance between one another in public. Stay calm. Don't panic. We've seen a lot of rush of people trying to buy toiletries and things like that at different stores. There is no need to panic to go buy all of those things. We want to also encourage our residents to report any symptoms to the county health department right away. And like I've been saying all along, I've told friends, family, even our council members, do what your mother's been telling you for years and wash your hands, right? But I do want to discuss some of the changes that are being made on the city level in order to prevent any further spread. First and foremost, the county has declared a state of emergency with no further restrictions. At this time, I will be declaring a state of emergency in the city of Jamestown, effective tomorrow. I want to be very clear, this is not because of any reported cases, but it is an attempt to be proactive and responsive to prevent further spread. Our county has not put any further restrictions on crowd sizes or public assembly, but as the largest city in this county, we anticipate going forward, we may have to make difficult decisions that limit public assembly and crowd sizes. We're also going to be making some limiting actions on public spaces. As many of you are aware, the governor has directed that no gatherings over 500 people, as well as all public establishments, to operate at half capacity. Our office has been working with groups and organizations to postpone or cancel events throughout the city. And in terms of restaurants, I do want to say I have never seen such community support from our local businesses in moving towards curbside pickup and working to comply with Department of Health regulations. However, I want to be very clear. I've directed our police department to spot check businesses to ensure compliance. Any business found to be in gross negligence of the Department of Health order will be fined or temporarily shut down. We'll also be making some changes to City Hall to further prevent spread and limit exposure to both our residents and our employees. Our clerk's office will no longer be issuing passports for March and April. All passport applications should be referred to the U.S. Post Office. For those individuals doing business with the city, we are encouraging residents to call into the city before coming in. We can answer most of your questions over the phone. If you need to walk in, we will ask that everyone check in with the clerk's office window, as we will be restricting access to public offices. Many of you can refer directly to our website for contact information. That's jamestowny.net. If you need to pay your taxes or a parking ticket, we are encouraging individuals to pay online, mail in your payment, or use the express drop box in the front of the building. We'll also be adding a section to our website to inform the public of the city's COVID response, and we'll link to county and school resources as they become available. The last major thing we want to talk about is our public meetings. In accordance with the governor's executive order, we are limiting meetings of boards and commissions and restricting the public from attending. We will continue to allow the media to be present, but as of next week, all council meetings will be streamed online on our website, jamestowny.net/live. The public may submit written comments to the city clerk via email before 5 p.m. the day before each meeting. The clerk can be reached via email at clerk@cityofjamestownny.com. You can also mail in any further public comments you have. Those will be read into the record the day of the meeting. Now I will allow Dr. Bret Apthorpe, Superintendent of Jamestown Public Schools, to discuss the response of the school district. Before he begins, I want to point out that I truly believe that the model that this superintendent, the school board, and his staff have created during this time is unique and one of a kind. In fact, I actually mentioned it to the governor's office just last night, that this is really a model that the rest of the state could and can follow. It represents the needs of our community and ensures our residents and children are taken care of during this very difficult time. And with that, I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Thank you, Mayor Sundquist, and thank you very much for you and your team's unwavering support of the children of this community. So we have been following the guidance of the Governor's Office and the Chautauqua County Health Commissioner, Christine Schuyler, for the past few weeks. And by doing so, we were able to prepare for where we are at this point in time. A few weeks ago, our staff put together a plan around the framework of hoping for the best, but planning for the worst. The Governor's Office has advised us that in order for schools to close in a manner that's going to help our community fight this virus, it needs to have three components. The first component is we have to ensure that we're able to continue instruction for our students. The second component is that we have to be able to provide childcare for those working families, especially for the families who work in the healthcare industry. And thirdly, we have to provide meals. In the city of Jamestown, we provide thousands of breakfasts and lunch to students every day. So our team has designed and put into effect that plan. We have closed our schools today except to essential staff. Our staff are working today. They will be putting together packets for elementary kids, distributing iPads for middle school kids, and computers for high school kids who need it. Our food service workers have already started working this past weekend, and they're ramped up to deliver up to 5,000 meals a day throughout this event. And then lastly, childcare. Working with our community partners, we're able to provide childcare for our families in the city of Jamestown who are working families. All the details for everything that I just mentioned will be on our homepage, and I would encourage the public to go to our homepage and to check that. And we'll be updating this information every day. Lastly, this event is not going to be over soon. Right now, my team is planning for the next stage, and the next stage would involve quarantine of our community, like we see in other communities around the country. So while we hope for the best, we're planning for the worst, and we're working in conjunction with the city and the county health department to make sure that we provide absolutely what we need to provide to our students.
Thank you. And what's the website they can go to for the
jpsnewyork.org.
questions? Okay.
Yep.
So we'll open it up to any questions that anyone has from the media.
Mayor, National Grid issued an amnesty for its customers up until the end of April because of the economic hardships some people could be facing and not being able to pay their utility bills on time. Have you talked to the Board of Public Utilities, or is there any plan underway to do the same thing here for the Jamestown customers?
So there's a couple things underway. First and foremost, the governor has directed that all public utilities not suspend utilities for anyone that's been impacted by the COVID virus. We're still waiting for additional information from the Public Service Commission on that from the governor's office. But we are talking with the BPU about ensuring and providing support for individuals that may be impacted by the COVID virus.
As you look around the community and you go into restaurants and areas are taped off, and we hear that the National Comedy Center has decided to close, what's your overall reaction to the economic impact in just the sites of the city as you just look around?
Well, it's no question there's going to be an economic impact, but the safety of our residents and our kids is 10 times more important to us right now. We need to take these drastic measures in the short term to ensure that long term we are prepared and that we continue to have a population here in the city. We want to avoid any type of deaths. We want to avoid any type of further spread. We are taking these actions now. We understand it's painful in the short term, but in the long term, we'll have better benefits.
A lot of people on our live stream right now are asking how long is this going to be in effect? How long do health officials tell you that they expect this to be happening?
At this time, we've gotten information from the governor's office and the Department of Health that they're looking for around 8 weeks.
Mr. Superintendent, how will those meals be distributed?
So in general, we'll have them at our school sites for through the bus loops, so kids can drive through or their parents can drive through and pick up a bag with their breakfast and their lunch, and there'll be a special area for walkers.
Are you gonna use FEMA?
No.
Okay. FEMA has pods, that's why I thought they have a distribution system that they announced yesterday, and I just wondered if they were gonna use that.
Bret, a follow-up on that. I know a couple of school districts are allowing students into the schools today to get supplies, things that they might need back home. Is the district put any provision in for that?
Yeah, it's not like a winter event where we close schools and nobody come in. Kids can come into schools right now, and we expect kids to come in to pick up, go into their lockers and get the things they need. What we have to make sure is that we abide by the small gathering rules that the county health department has laid out and the social distancing. But yeah, people can come into our schools.
And are the schools closed indefinitely, or do you have a time frame when they might be open?
Well, so the school's closed till April 20th. Again, hoping for the best. We hope we can open earlier. But all the advice and the evidence and the information we're receiving is it's probably going to be a lot longer than that.
You mentioned daycare, and how is that going to work out in terms of this urge for social distancing, but having concentrated students? A lot of families will be working, they will be sending their kids to the daycare that the school district's going to be providing. How does it work to ensure that there's not going to be too much of a concentration of students in one particular space?
Yeah, so we have 9 schools, and we're going to utilize all 9 schools and spread out the childcare. So we'll have small groups of kids located throughout the district.
Mr. Mayor, one last question for me. Anyway, your state of emergency that you are declaring for tomorrow,
Yes.
what does that allow you? What does that allow you to do? Why a state of emergency in the city of Jamestown?
So one of the things that we've noted is that currently the county has not put any further restrictions on any type of public assembly, crowds, or curfew. We are not intending to do that right now. However, we may have to make that difficult decision to reduce assembly points, to close down events. As the largest city in this county, we have to take extra precautions than some of the other municipalities, towns, villages that are much more spread out. So we want to make sure that we are prepared and we can do that quickly. By establishing that state of emergency, we're able to institute those things very quickly and utilize our public safety to manage that.
Are you able to access any further dollars or anything like that by declaring this emergency? Any resources?
Typically with a state of emergency, you can. We've not been made aware of additional funding at this point. However, we are aware that the federal government is looking at potential funding for sick leave and things like that, and we are trying to anticipate potential for it.
Is there anything that you want to communicate to local businesses who maybe are trying to find creative ways to continue to have customers during this time where people are distancing themselves?
I think, as I mentioned in kind of the beginning of this press conference, I am just incredibly amazed at what some of our businesses are doing to really be responsive to this. We've seen businesses that have never tried this before doing kind of curbside pickup. There's been a lot of encouragement, especially on social media, of purchasing gift certificates to assist local businesses during this time. We still continue to encourage that. We encourage them to get creative, and my office is absolutely there to help in any way, shape, or form to allow that. We recognize this is a difficult time for everyone, including families, parents, business owners, and we're trying to do the best to try to minimize that impact as much as possible.
And the economic toll of it, especially for a lot of mom and pop shops, even just here on 3rd Street in Jamestown, if they don't have customers, they don't have an income.
That's correct, yes. Which is one of the things that we were very cognizant of, and we want to try to support them in any way, shape, or form. And again, my staff is there to assist. If you need just great ideas or need to connect with other businesses to support each other at this time, we're happy to do so.
Now, the communication, is it going to come from, say, the live stream of the city council meeting? How are you going to be talking to not just businesses, but the public as well throughout this time?
So at this point, we will communicate mostly through the media. We will do some live stream, as stated today. This press conference is actually being streamed on our website as well as social media sites. And we will continue to use our traditional methods, press releases, press conferences, things like that. It'll be a little difficult since we're not allowing the public to come into some of the open meetings, but we are relying on the media to help spread the word as well as social media to help spread it even further.
Mr. Mayor, have
Yes.
you been in contact with HUD or any federal or state agency about places like the Hotel Jamestown and other places where a lot of people are living in a relatively small space?
So my office is in constant communication with the governor's office as well as the county health department and with our federal partners as well. We've been on phone calls with our congressmen and other federal representatives. In terms of HUD, we've not spoken directly to HUD, but we know that the county health department has been working with those individuals to ensure their safety.
Dr. Apthorpe, just in regards to our Hispanic population and communicating all of this to them, are there efforts underway to make sure that all the students who may have families that only speak Spanish, that what you've told us today has also been shared with them?
Yeah, the district plan, anything that relates to communication has an English/Spanish requirement.
Any further questions? All right, we appreciate everyone coming today. Thank you. We wanted to make sure we coordinate the response and also let the public know we are managing this crisis here in the city of Jamestown in a very novel way. And I again thank the superintendent for coming and being a part of this.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.